Welcome back to our channel. We'll be discussing about the PERM and other details, nuances about it and everything. So the process of the PERM, most of you know about it, is like after 6 years period of stay on a H1B, if you need to be extending your continuity of stay and everything. So definitely there should be a PERM that has been filed or an I-140 that should be approved. So there are different scenarios. People come in, they always think that, I have 6 years of time period, especially, companies like TCS, Cognizant or Wipro, they are not leaning towards filing a PERM, even though they might keep promising you. The practical reality is when you're in your 4th year period or a 5th year, right now the processing timeline is outrageous on the PERM. The prevailing rate is taking 6 months, and then the approval of 1.5 years and everything. When you start the process at the 4th year, it's becoming very, very critical. And when you come to know at the 5th year period that your employer is not willing to support you on the PERM, then you're running behind. So what I completely say to any employer, see, there are very practical difficulties. If it's you're in a full-time position, it's well and good for you, but at the same time there should not be any layoffs that is associated when you're filing a PERM. That's very important. So you should be preparing yourself as soon as your first term of your H1B, which is like 3 years period. Don't wait for the 3rd year. At least by the starting of the 3rd year, prepare yourself whether your current employer is ready to file, or you have to find another employer who is going to be doing this. Yes, that's correct. If you don't have an PERM that has been filed, you definitely cannot be on a H1B. You can definitely change your status to that of an F1 student visa and everything. The practical difficulty is after 1 year of being on a F1 visa, then you cannot be switching to another H1B. You have to be out of country 365 days if you don't have a PERM that has been applied and has been pending for a year, or an I-140 approved. And then you have to also get into the lottery to get into the another H1B period. Like if your PERM has been pending for more than 365 days, then you get the eligibility to file for the 7th year extension for 1 year can be applied. One thing people always get confused is that the same employer that they have to file the PERM. You don't have to be with the same employer who has to file the PERM. So about the future employment, yeah, definitely there is a possibility. The only thing is the smaller employers, like less than 100 employee payroll company, they have to have a financial ability that has to be proven when they file for a future employment. So the smaller companies always expect you to be on their payroll before they file the I-140. So you definitely have to consult an attorney after the I-140 approval and after the 180 days has been passed. It doesn't have to be the same employer who can use this to extend your stay over here as a 7th year period. Any employer can apply for their extension based on this approval. There is no grace period as such. If there is a 6th year period, exactly, definitely recommend that you need to leave the country by the 6th year mark. But only practical solution in some cases is, say for example, the I-140 has been applied and still not approved, whereas your 6th year mark is completed. Then in that case, we just for a short bridge period, we just ask the employer to file for an B2 status, and then by the time this approval comes in, then we will be extending your H1B. That's a little different process, but there is a very limited period of time. Not like you can be extending your stay being on a B2 for more than 6 months. That's not going to happen. And also you won't be able to work being on a B2 status as well. So there are possibility for a very short term period as a bridge petition, we can extend it. No, there is no legal, you cannot force an employer just because you had been with them on a H1B. You cannot demand your employer to file for a PERM. It's definitely a mutual agreement, and also the employer has to see that PERM is a permanent position. Your employer has to go through a very strenuous process to apply for your PERM. So being said, definitely there's no obligation for your employer that they have to file your PERM. Yes, they have to wait for the 365 days, and then they can definitely apply for a new H1B, and then they get the 6 years period. But only caveat over here is they have to go through the quota. But in some situations, there is an employer who's willing to help you out to file for a PERM. Even if you're out of country, they apply and they get the I-140 approved for you. So in that case, definitely, you don't have to get into the H1B quota. So as soon as the I-140 approved, you can definitely apply for your H1B, and then you can be back to the country. Thanks for watching, and we hope this is helpful for you. But any other questions or comments, please share it with us, and we'll do our best to support you.